horrific.
Why were the Abedi family in the UK? Why is nobody interested in asking that? When it comes to jihadist extremism, jihadism comes from Islam. Therefore, if it's 1%, 5%, 15% of people of the Muslim faith who follow that version of it, you've got a hell of a problem. The larger the number of people who are followers of a faith that has not solved the extremism problem in its midst or drawn suitable lines, the more extremism you will have. You don't get that from the Catholic Church in 2023 or 4. You don't get it from the Methodists. You won't get it from the Quakers, and you won't get it from the Anglican Church.
Of course there is.
How careful should the UK and other Western countries be with allowing people that have radical ideologies into their country? In this clip, Douglas Murray completely destroys the BBC interviewer, where the BBC interviewer is trying to push him and push him and push him in a certain direction, and watch how he combats it.
I've been obviously writing about this issue for 10, 20 years or so, and writing about Islamic extremism in this country. And in 2017, after the Manchester Arena bombing, you talked about, because of that threat of Islamic extremism, we should have less Islam in this country. Was that a wise phrase, talking about less Islam?
Well, I think it's perfectly wise phrase, perfectly open to misrepresentation. I think I said it at the encouragement of the BBC.
Well, I'm reading your article.
It was on the BBC.
In the Sun.
It was on the BBC, that's why.
I'm quoting.
In this exchange, Douglas Murray engages with a BBC journalist about his controversial statement regarding Islamic extremism. The journalist references Murray's past comments following the 2017 Manchester Arena bombing, specifically his suggestion that Britain should have less Islam due to the threat posed by Islamic extremism.
What you said in the Sun, less Islam. Surely less Islam means less people of the Muslim faith. That means less Sajid Javids, less Sadiq Khans.
Well, that
it
depends.
means anyone who's a Muslim. That's what it means, isn't it? Isn't that provocative?
I mean, it would also mean less people like the Abedi family, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
But the point is, you're talking about less Islam. That is Muslim people.
No. Just bear with me, because I know better than you what I think. This country has had a wildly stupid and lax immigration policy for decades. And we allowed people like the Abedi family, a family of jihadists who'd fallen out with Colonel Gaddafi because they were from rival jihadist groups. When the Abedi family fell out with Colonel Gaddafi, they came first to London and then to Manchester. And one of the sons they gave this country was Salman Abedi, who at the age of 22 killed 22 young girls at the Manchester Arena in a suicide bomb. One, by the way, for every year of life this country gave him. His brothers just stabbed and thrown boiling oil at 3 prison wards. Let me bear with you. Why were the Abedi family in the UK? Why is nobody interested in asking that? And I'll tell you what the problem here is.
The journalist seeks clarity on this phrase, implying it advocates for reducing the presence of Muslims in the UK. Murray defends his statement, suggesting it has been misrepresented and that he was prompted by the BBC to express his views. He acknowledges that his words can be interpreted to mean a reduction in the Muslim population, but he emphasises that his intent was to address the extremism associated with certain interpretations of Islam, not to target Muslims as a whole.
There are lots of types of extremism. You get far-right extremism, far-left extremism. When it comes to jihadist extremism, jihadism comes from Islam. Therefore, if it's 1%, 5%, 15% of people of the Muslim faith who follow that version of it, you've got a hell of a problem. And the more people, the larger, this is simple math, the larger the number of people who are followers of a faith that has not solved the extremism problem in its midst or drawn suitable lines, the more extremism you will have. You don't get that from the Catholic Church in 2023 or 4. You don't get it from the Methodists. You won't get it from the Quakers, and you won't get it from the Anglican Church.
Of course there is.
The interviewer is trying to catch Douglas Murray in a moment where it appears he is generalising about all Muslims, but that's not the case. Murray is merely emphasising the need for caution regarding who is allowed into our country, which seems like a reasonable stance. If individuals, regardless of their faith, intend to harm the country or wage war against our civilization, we should definitely consider that before allowing them entry. We need to manage our immigration policy effectively.
is a problem with fundamentalism and
Right.
Islamic extremism.
And
But when
fundamentalist
you
Islam
say
comes
less
from Islam.
you're saying less of everyone, which means less Sajid David,
No, it doesn't.
less Sadiq Khan.
No,
and you're stereotyping
no problem
everyone.
at all with Sajid. No, of course it's not stereotyping. I mean, this is a kind of dated conversation to my mind because this is all being addressed elsewhere as we speak. And nobody else is as incredibly slow in learning as the British media and political class when it comes to this problem. Why is it the case that Saturday after Saturday we have thousands of people going through major British cities who support the death cults who would murder Jews and the rest of us next? That's a question you and I and Newsnight should answer.
Why do we see many people in our country aligning with this ideology and participating in marches chanting for jihad? Why do we accept this under the pretense of avoiding Islamophobia? The issue is not Islam itself, nor are Arabs the problem. The real problem lies in a radical ideology that aims to dominate the West, seeking to impose itself as the prevailing worldview, and will stop at nothing to achieve that goal. The West must awaken, confront this reality, and acknowledge that there is a significant issue at play. It is not about Muslims, Islam, or Arabs. It is a specific radical ideology. Those who adhere to it need to be stopped. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.